Life is full of challenges, and one of the biggest challenges we face is how to deal with other people's bad behavior. It might be an angry outburst from a coworker, a rude comment from a stranger, or even a close friend's insensitive remark. In such moments, it's easy to react with frustration or anger, but the teachings of Buddhism offer us a different path, a path of peace, compassion, and understanding. In this video, we will discuss the 6 ways of handling bad behavior. We not only help others, but also bring more peace into our own lives. These methods are grounded in wisdom that can transform how we relate to the world and the people around us. Lesson 1. Stay calm and collected. When someone does something wrong, our first reaction is often to get angry or upset. It's possible to feel sad, angry, or stressed. But the first thing that needs to be done to deal with this kind of behavior is to stay cool. Being calm is seen as very useful in Buddhism. It's about keeping our own peace no matter what's going on around us. Being calm gives us time to think about how to behave instead of acting without thinking. Being calm doesn't mean hiding your feelings. It means recognizing them, but not letting them run our lives. Stop, take a deep breath, and center yourself. As long as we stay cool, we can see things more clearly and don't let what the other person does bother us. He said that our mind is like a clear lake. We can see things as they are when it's calm. But when it's shaken up, like when waves hit a lake, everything gets fuzzy. We can think more clearly and make better choices when we stay cool. For example, if someone yells at you, you won't yell back if you stay calm. It gives you a chance to stop and look at things from a different angle. The person could just be having a bad day, or there could be something more serious going on in their life. You can avoid taking things personally if you stay calm. You can think about the fact that their behavior shows how upset they are inside, not how you feel. Meditation is a great way to become more calm in real life. Focusing on your breath for a few minutes every day can help you learn how to stay calm when things get stressful. Pay attention to your breath when you're having a hard time. This simple action can help you stay grounded and give you clear thinking when you react. Keeping your cool not only helps you deal with other people's bad behavior, but it also keeps your own peace. Having it gives you the power to handle your feelings and behaviors. You can't control other people, but you can control how you react, as the saying goes. Lesson 2. Set clear boundaries. Dealing with bad behavior doesn't mean letting other people hurt you. Yet another important Buddhist concept is that it's important to set clear limits. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you're cold or detached. It means you care about your own health and happiness while still being compassionate and kind. You should let someone know what is and isn't okay when they are being rude to you. Setting limits means being clear about what you can and can't do. It's not about getting back at the other person. It's about keeping your own mental and emotional health safe. When people cross those lines, it's your job to tell them of the rules and, if necessary, make them follow them. To set a boundary with a friend who often talks badly to you, you could say, "I value our friendship, but I need us to talk to each other in a respectful way. I will have to leave the conversation if that doesn't happen." This doesn't need to be a fight. It's just an honest statement of what you need. Buddhists believe that everyone has the right to keep their own peace of mind. On the other hand, making rules helps others understand what they're doing. By encouraging respect for each other, it can make relationships better. By setting clear limits, we not only take care of ourselves, but we also give others a chance to think about how they act. It's important to understand that putting limits is not being selfish. In fact, it's one of the kindest things you can do for yourself and other people. By making it clear what is okay, you keep people from getting angry or confused. Setting limits might feel awkward at first, especially if you like to stay out of trouble. But as time goes on, it gets easier, and you will see how it improves your life and relationships. Remember that setting limits is not the same as managing other people. It's about taking charge of your own health and making sure your interactions are healthy and respectful. One way to protect yourself from other people's negativity while still being kind is to set clear limits, being kind and having self-respect at the same time. This will help you have better relationships with others and keep your inner peace. Lesson 3. Listen actively. Learning how to actively listen is one of the best ways to deal with bad behavior. People often act badly when they feel ignored or misunderstood. Active listening shows that you care and understand, which can help calm down a tense situation. When you listen actively, you give the other person your full attention and try to see things from their point of view, even if you don't agree with them. It means giving attention to more than just what they say. It also means noticing how they move, how they sound, and how they feel. This makes room for important conversation and shows that you care about what they have to say. Kindness and understanding are very important in Buddhism. By putting ourselves in someone else's shoes when we listen to them carefully, we show kindness. This doesn't mean we agree with bad behavior, but it does help us figure out why people do bad things. People act out when they feel like they are not being heard or accepted. For instance, if someone is angry with you, don't tune them out or think about what you're going to say next. Instead, pay full attention to what they are saying. Say things like, "I hear you," or "that sounds really frustrating," to show that you understand how they feel. This makes the other person feel seen and heard, which can often make them behave better. You don't have to agree with everything the other person says to be actively listening. You just have to show them that you understand how they feel. When people feel like they are being understood, they are more likely to be willing to settle disagreements quietly. It helps people talk to each other more freely and without getting defensive. Along with that, active listening helps you learn more about what's going on. You may find that the bad behavior is caused by worry, fear, or other feelings that are troublesome. If you know about these underlying problems, you can react with more kindness and wisdom. Active listening is a great way to deal with bad behavior because it shows understanding, builds relationships, and often calms down tense situations. It's a way to show kindness in tough situations and encourage better relationships. Lesson 4. Communicate assertively. The next step in dealing with bad behavior is to talk to them in an assertive way, after staying calm, making limits, and listening carefully. When you communicate assertively, you say what you think, feel, and need in a clear and polite way. It's not too passive or too forceful. Buddhist beliefs say that talking to other people is an important part of doing the right thing. This means being honest, kind, and wanting to help other people when you talk. This idea is in line with assertiveness because it lets you be honest without being mean or rude. You respect yourself and the other person when you talk to them in a confident way. You make it clear what your limits are, but you do it in a way that doesn't cause problems. You can say something like, "I find that comment disrespectful," if someone is being rude to you. We should be kind to each other when we talk to each other. Always keep in mind that being forceful is not about winning or making a point. It's about keeping respect and helping people understand each other. Being assertive also keeps people from misunderstood because it makes sure that everyone knows what the other person wants and how they feel. Using I statements instead of you statements is a key part of being confident. You don't have to say "you're always rude." You can say, "That makes me mad when you talk to me that way." When you do this, you stop blaming the other person and talk about how you feel, which can make the argument less heated. In Buddhism, talking to someone is meant to ease their pain, not make it worse. Becoming more assertive is one way to do this because it lets us be honest with others while still caring about them. It's easier to solve problems and make relationships better when we talk to each other in a forceful way. Being honest and polite at the same time is possible with assertive communication. which is an important skill for dealing with bad behavior. It helps us stand up for ourselves without starting fights that aren't necessary and makes relationships more peaceful. Lesson 5. Choose your battles wisely. Not all bad behavior needs to be dealt with. Being able to let go is one of the most important things you can learn from Buddhism. There are times when picking your fights is smarter than reacting to every bad behavior. It doesn't mean you should ignore problems, but you should know that some problems aren't worth your time and energy. Becoming detached and realizing that everything changes is what Buddhism teaches us. When someone does something bad, sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. When we choose not to do certain things, we keep the peace and avoid fights that aren't necessary. If someone cuts you off in traffic or says something mean online, it might not be worth your time or energy to talk to them. You can keep your peace and stop the problem from getting worse by letting it go. Picking your battles also means putting the most important problems first. If the bad behavior is damaging or keeps happening, you might want to talk to them about it. If it's only happened once or isn't that big of a deal, it might be better to just move on. This way of thinking is about saving your mental energy for when things really need it. Mindfulness is an important part of Buddhism for making smart choices. Being mindful helps us take a step back from our feelings and look at things without getting attached to them. Is this worth my peace? Will getting along with this person make things better? It might be best to let it go if the answer is no. You're not letting other people walk all over you though. It's about realizing that your peace of mind is more important than getting involved in drama that isn't required. By picking your battles carefully, you can keep your attention on what's important and stay out of bad situations. Picking the right fights is important for keeping your energy and peace. It means knowing when to get involved and when to let go, so you don't waste time or energy on things that don't need it. If you do this regularly, your relationships with other people will be more peaceful and clear. Lesson 6. Know when to walk away. Even when we try to handle bad behavior with calmness, setting limits, listening, and being firm, things don't always get better. When things like this happen, you should know when to leave. Leaving doesn't mean you've given up or failed. In fact, it might be one of the kindest and most powerful things you can do. Detachment is one of the most important ideas in Buddhism. It helps us remember that we can only control our own actions. Walking away is a way to get away from something that is bad for you. You have to realize that sticking in the situation will only make things worse for you and maybe even for the other person. In different situations, walking away can mean different things. If a talk gets heated, leaving the room could mean ending a bad relationship or deciding not to interact with someone who is always negative. It's about keeping your health and peace away from harm. For instance, if you've tried to talk to someone about their bad behavior more than once and they keep crossing your lines, it might be time to cut ties with them. It's not about hurting them. It's about taking care of yourself. Buddhism says that staying away from other people's bad behavior is sometimes the best way to help them. Walking away can be a compassionate thing to do because it stops more harm from happening and gives the other person time to think about what they did. Take a moment to remember that leaving is not a sign of weakness. It means you're strong. It shows that you care about your own happiness and don't want to be pulled into bad things. By leaving, you show that you have self-respect and are smart. A very important part of dealing with bad behavior is knowing when to leave. That you know that you can't always fix things, and that taking a step back is sometimes the best thing you can do for your own peace. By separating yourself from something, you can keep your inner balance and live in peace with yourself and others. Having to deal with bad behavior is never easy, but Buddhism teaches us how to do it with kindness, understanding, and peace. You can change the way people treat you and your own health by staying calm, making limits, actively listening, communicating assertively, picking your battles wisely, and knowing when to walk away. These 6 strategies not only help us deal with bad behavior, but they also help us grow as people and make our lives more peaceful.